our City of Palatka Commission meeting for October 27, 2016. We will have our invocation by Reverend Jason Sharp, Senior Pastor at Francis Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Malachi Dixon. So will everyone please stand. You can come on up to the podium. Yes, sir.
Most heavenly and gracious Lord Jesus, you truly are an amazing God, and we thank you, Lord, for the opportunity, Lord, to meet over the welfare of this city. Lord, we do ask, Lord, that you'd bless this city, Lord, and the surrounding areas. Lord, you'd bless its finances, Lord, its welfare, Lord, its legal, Lord, its protection. Lord, all the things that go on, Lord, to bless the people's lives here, Lord, we pray your hand, your favors upon it. Lord, we ask, Lord, for a special blessing upon its leaders, Lord, that they guide us, Lord, and encourage us as citizens. And we pray, Lord, that everything the city does, Lord, brings honor and glory to your name. Lord, we love you and we thank you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Malachi?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job. Good job. We want to thank both Pastor Sharp and young Mr. Malachi Dixon for a great job. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hill,
Here.
Vice Mayor Brown,
Present.
Commissioner Borum,
Present.
Commissioner Campbell,
President.
Commissioner Norwood.
Present.
All members are present and counted for, and you have a quorum.
Thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the minutes from the October 10th, 2016 call meeting and the October 13th regular meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to public recognitions, to our public recognition section of our agenda. We're going to ask that Allison Strother come forward as we do recognition for World Pancreatic Cancer Day, November 17, 2016, and also the family of Terrence Bronick, Dr. Terrence Bronick.
Allison couldn't be here, so I'm pinch hitting. Allison Strother is a very dedicated person. Her father died 4 years ago of pancreatic cancer. She is with the Pancreatic Action Network. This is a network that promotes research into pancreatic cancer, the causes. They don't really know a lot about how it's caused. They think it has a little something to do with smoking or living in a household, possibly with a smoker. There are a lot of different environmental things involved with it. And also treatment. There are not a lot of treatment options because it's diagnosed so late. My father died of pancreatic cancer 10 years ago in August. It was probably the worst thing that any family could go through. He was a healthy man. We expected him to live until his 90s. He was 74 years old, went to the doctor. They found a mass on his abdomen. 3 months later, he passed away of pancreatic cancer. It's a terrible way to go. It's very painful. It's hard on the family. You don't know what your treatment options were. And if I had known in the end, what in the beginning, what I knew in the end, we would have made very different treatment choices to allow him some quality of life with the time that he had left. So this family, this is the family of Dr. Terrence Bronick. This is Debbie and his son Matthew. They lost their husband and father to pancreatic cancer 1 week ago. Dr. Bronick has been, how long have you guys been in Palatka?
Oh, since '83.
Right. I have a cap in my mouth that he put in 82 or 83 or 4, it was early 80s. And he was a wonderful dentist, painless, and just a great contributor to our society. So they're here. They haven't even set up their memorial yet. We're so grateful that you could come. You know, I don't know if you want to say a word or two. Pancreatic cancer, it's diagnosed late. There's more research into it. The mayor's going to read some statistics off for it. So, do you guys want to say anything?
I think it's wonderful that we're having awareness of this because it's a disease that creeps up. You often don't find it till it's too late. And I had a brother-in-law who died at 50 of this. It hits young and old alike. So it definitely needs to get out of the relegated to the dark zone and move forward in terms of finding a cure and treatment. Thank you for this awareness.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Whereas in 2015, an estimated 367,000 cases of pancreatic cancer were diagnosed globally, and it's estimated that 418,000 people will be diagnosed globally in 2020. And whereas pancreatic cancer is the 7th biggest cancer killer among men and women, yet so many people know nothing about it because this cancer has languished in the too hard to deal with category for far too long, as reflected in the dire survival rates of 3 to 6%, which hasn't improved for more than 40 years. And whereas pancreatic cancer is the only major cancer with a 5-year relative survival rate in single digits, when symptoms of pancreatic cancer present themselves, it is generally in the late stages. And 73% of the pancreatic cancer patients die within the first year of their diagnosis, while 93% of pancreatic patients die within the first 5 years. While death rates are declining for most other cancers, studies show that death rates for pancreatic cancer are increasing in the United States and Europe. And whereas more awareness and understanding about the illness among the public, medical community, and government, the resultant investment and the interest in the disease will allow more people to be diagnosed in time for surgery, which is currently the only potential for a cure. Whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of the city of Palatka are enhanced as a direct result of the increased awareness about pancreatic cancer and research into the detection, causes, and effective treatments. Now therefore, I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palatka, Florida, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, do hereby recognize and endorse November 17, 2016 as World Pancreatic Cancer Day in the City of Palatka, and hereby encourage the citizens of Palatka to endorse the day by contacting the Putnam County Health Department to inquire about pancreatic cancer screening programs available locally, as well as other information regarding early detection. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of Palatka, Florida, on this 27th day of October in the year of our Lord 2016, and present this proclamation to the family of Dr. Terrence Brynick, DDS, in Morgan. Terrell Hill, Mayor, Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borum, Justin Campbell, and James Norwood, Jr., Commissioner. And if we may at this time, will you all stand with me and just have a moment of silence for Dr. Brynick? Thank you. Next up is proclamation for National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, November 2016, and Children's Grief Awareness Day, November 17, 2016. Sue Ellen Jackson, Hospice of Citrus and Nature Coast.
Good evening. On behalf of Hospice of Citrus and the Nature Coast, our staff, our volunteers, and most importantly, the precious families that we serve, we thank you, the City of Palatka, for offering this proclamation on behalf of families and children that have grief. We want you to know that we are here for you, not just in word, but in deed. So, thank you again.
Thank you very much. Whereas hospice and palliative care offer the highest qualities of service and support to patients for family caregivers facing serious and life-limiting illness. Hospice and palliative care providers take the time to ask what's important to those they care for and to listen what their patients and families say. And whereas skilled and compassionate hospice and palliative care professionals, including physicians, Nurses, social workers, therapists, counselors, health aides, and clergy provide comprehensive care focused on the wishes of each individual patient. And whereas through pain management and symptom control, caregiver training and assistance, and emotional and spiritual support, allowing patients to live fully up until the final moments, surrounded and supported by faces of loved ones, friends, and committed caregivers. And whereas the provision of the quality of hospice and palliative care reaffirms our belief in essential dignity of every person, regardless of age, health, or social status, and that every stage of human life deserves to be treated with the utmost respect and care. And whereas every year more than 1.5 million Americans living with life-limiting illness and their families receive care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States, while more than 468,000 trained volunteers contributed 22 million hours of service to hospice programs annually. And whereas these hospice and palliative care providers encourage all people to learn more about options of care, to share their wishes with family, loved ones, and their healthcare professionals. Now therefore, I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palatka, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, do hereby endorse and proclaim November 2016 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Awareness Month in the City of Palatka, and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of care at the end of life, to observe this month with the appropriate activities and programs. And witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of Palatka, Florida, on this 27th day of October, the year of our Lord 2016, Terrell Hill Mayor, Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borum, Justin Campbell, and James Norwood Jr., Commissioners. And we also have another proclamation for Children's Grief Awareness Day. Whereas children who have a loved one die, especially a close family member, experience intense inner turmoil. And whereas every school district has students who have experienced personal loss, and there are more grieving children than most of us realize. Whereas on April 7, 2011, the Florida legislature resolved to observe Children's Grief Awareness Day in Florida annually on the Thursday before Thanksgiving. And whereas Children's Grief Awareness Day provides an opportunity for all of us to raise awareness of the painful impact that the death of a loved one has in the life of a child. An opportunity for all of us to recognize and support the millions of grieving children across the nation, the thousands of grieving children right in our own communities, and the grieving children who know and see, that we know and see in our daily lives. And whereas parental grief is boundless and teaches everyone every aspect of a parent's being, and whereas Harry's Kids Pediatric Service provides specialized services to children and teens with life-threatening illnesses and offers grief support and therapeutic camps for young people and their loved ones who have experienced a loss. Now therefore, I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palatka, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, do hereby proclaim Thursday, November 17th, 2016 as Children's Grief Awareness Day in the City of Palatka, Florida, and applaud the work currently being accomplished and the support grieving children on their journey toward hope after a loved one dies. And witness whereof, I hereunto caused and set to be affixed to seal the City of Palatka on this 27th day of October, in the year of our Lord 2016, Terrell Hill Mayor, Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borum, Justin Campbell, and James Norwood Jr. Commissioners. Our next proclamation is for Runaway Prevention Month, November 2016. Cindy Starlin and Leah Emberton, CDS Family and Behavioral Specialists. Ladies, like to say a few words.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Hill and the City Commissioners. We are so appreciative of you all recognizing this very important issue. And at CDS Family and Behavioral Health Services, our mission is to strengthen communities by building strong families. One of our main goals is to decrease the number of runaways that in our community. We know that when children run away from home, that it puts them at high risk for issues such as various victimization, as well as health issues, and also committing crime. And so it involves our community as a whole. Not only is it devastating to the families of the youth that has run away, but also it involves our law enforcement and our community agencies. So definitely we want to decrease runaway in our community by bringing awareness to the community, and also by educating our youth of the risks that are involved before they run away, in hopes of deterring that behavior. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the future well-being of our nation is dependent upon the value we place on our young people, we must provide opportunities for youth to acquire the knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary to develop into healthy and productive adults. We must also enlist their families and other adults in the community to serve as mentors, role models for these young people, guiding them towards wise choices and available resources and support. And whereas the young people with the least access to these essential opportunities and supports are those in runaway or homeless situations. Across the United States, between 1.6 million and 2.8 million youth run away annually. These young people come from every life circumstance, but what they share in common is that their home environments are unsafe and unhealthy. If all of us work together, we can prevent this situation that compels youth to run away from home. Whereas the City of Palaca supports the efforts of the community-based, faith-based, and public organizations in Putnam County who are working diligently to increase public awareness about and advocate on behalf of and provide positive and safe alternatives to runaway and homeless youth and their families. Now, therefore, I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palaca, Florida, together with the members of the Palaca City Commission, do hereby recognize and endorse November 2016 as National Runaway Prevention Month in the City of Palaca, and hereby call all citizens of Palaca to observe this month by supporting young people who have run away or who are at high risk of doing so by developing a personal relationship with them, teaching them skills that promote positive life choices, providing a safety net of trusted friends, adults, and resources to them, and being able and available to them as they transition to adulthood. In witness whereof, I've hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of Palaca, Florida, on this 27th day of October, in the year of our Lord 2016. Terrell Hill, Mayor. Commissioners Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borum, Justin Campbell, and James Norwood Jr. Next up, we have FEMA informational presentation by Bill Tanger, FEMA Intergovernmental Affairs Coordinator.
First of all, let me pass these around. There's one for each council member, commission member. My name is Bill Tanger. I am the Intergovernmental Affairs representative for FEMA for Putnam County and all the cities and towns in the county. I have some business cards too. I'll pass those around. I know you have a mob here tonight, so lots of kids. It's a cheerful commission meeting, I would think. But anyway, so I'll try to be brief. And what I'd like to do is I'll give you a little 5-minute review of what's in here. And I would ask you two things. One, if you have people in your district who have been injured by the hurricane, and then give me a shout. You got the business card. And I can come by and we can talk individually about your district and your constituents. And the other thing is, if you have any constituents or issues right now, after I'm through going through this thing, lay them on me. I know there's a lot of people waiting to think, but anyway, so what I'd like to do is take just, like I say, 5 minutes or less and speed through this thing so you know what's here and what FEMA programs have arrived in town and that sort of thing. And let me start by announcing that the Disaster Recovery Center for Putnam County will be open Monday morning, 9 a.m. It is located in the Putnam County Fairgrounds, we thought it was gonna be somewhere else, but that didn't work out. So that DRC, it's called a Disaster Recovery Center, will be open Monday morning. It's open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. And that, the DRC is the place to go in particular when there are some questions or uncertainties, or it's not clear about a particular program or eligibility of somebody to get some assistance. So, so that's just announced that's going to open up. We had a soft, what do you call a soft opening today, just to make sure all the techno stuff works. Okay, I'm going to take you through now on this folder real quick. Like in general, FEMA has two types of programs. One is about individual assistance, and the other is about public assistance. So the right-hand side, we'll probably leave that alone. That's for governmental officials, and that is for FEMA assistance for damages to the city infrastructure, roads, bridges, sewer, water, that sort of thing. So we'll make short work of that folder on the right-hand side, and you can look at that at your leisure. And on the left-hand side is the information about individual assistance. And of course, the first thing is the real big and bold, how to get in touch with FEMA to get registered. It is critically important that anybody who thinks they might have any kind of eligibility for assistance, that they register. Even if they're not sure, register, it won't hurt. And so that's the first order of business. In here are the federal declarations and some more detailed information than most people want to know about the process. But the next most important thing is the what we call the individual sequence of events. Okay, in other words, sequence of what happens after a disaster. The first thing normally is voluntary agencies are involved, like the Red Cross, Salvation Army, and so forth. And then once people things have stabilized, then homeowners and even renters have to go to their insurance company first. Okay, FEMA does not pay, twice. In other words, you go to the insurance company first to make sure all the amounts of money that the insurance company is going to pay are paid out. And after that, FEMA gets involved directly in the sense that, especially if there are housing issues, and you still have, in certain parts of over by the coast, we still have people living in shelters. And so maybe the top priority for FEMA is to get people out of shelters and get them into housing that is safe and sanitary. And so I know we talked about an issue from a constituent who might be in a house that qualifies for some help, because FEMA also provides assistance if you've got a roof problem. These all depend on your circumstances and your insurance, but that is a backup that may apply. And that includes a variety of things, including appliances and that sort of stuff. But so FEMA also has other programs that provide assistance after a disaster for medical, dental, child care, funeral services, that sort of thing. That's on your what we call the sequence of event flow chart. Okay. And then when all of these basic FEMA programs for individual assistance are played out and let's say someone doesn't qualify for anything else, there is also the Small Business Association, the SBA. That's a final alternative or option. And for both businesses and homeowners, the SBA is there with very low interest rate loans, and they are loans, of course, that either families or even renters, if they lose a lot of all their personal belongings, and in particular businesses can go to as a resource. Okay, so there are 3 pages in there after that flow chart to give you some good detail on the individual assistance programs. Okay. And last but not least, there is a chart in there about debris. We've had a lot of questions about debris pickup, and there's a chart in here that shows why, it shows where, first of all, you should put your debris after a hurricane like this. FEMA cannot go on private property, so you have to get your debris out into the public street, an area that's a public area. And if you can't, you've got to get some help to get it there, but FEMA is not allowed to go on private property without a really long, drawn-out legal process that requires attorneys and all kinds of things. So this will give you an idea of how to separate the debris and where to put it. Okay. That wasn't too painful, was it? Okay. So now my question to you, of course, is do any of you have any constituents who have had damage? And if so, would you share that with me? Just briefly tell me how many or if you've had it. Nobody's had any?
Well, I just had one individual, no real major damage, but they had some loss of food and different things of that nature, so they're gonna register to your site, send the information over, so.
Good, and I know you're vice mayor, right? Yeah, you had an individual with a tree limbs that went, punched a hole in the roof and stuff like that. Okay, so right now, just you two? Okay.
It's more than that.
Everybody knows.
There's more than that. There are, but again, one of my roles is to try to get that information and to be sure we've covered everybody.
Yeah. On the corner of 18th and Dunham Street, there's a young lady that tree fell over in her yard, but it was on her property, of course, but it kind of fell over the right of way, and you cut the tree down, and it fell back on her property as well. So it's kind of up in the air.
But it didn't fall on any buildings or
It
anything?
didn't fall on any buildings, but not, but.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know if that'll, again, I'm not an expert in who qualifies per se, but, she can always go down to the DRC and talk to them, check it out.
So what do we do about, I got a call earlier today about a disabled individual who's at home with a caregiver, limited resources, and they had multiple trees that fell in their yard, and they don't have the resources to get them out. Or is there any assistance for them?
There may be, again, I'm not the expert on it, but can one of them get to the DRC?
Yeah.
And I would recommend that. There's nothing better than person to person, rather than trying to talk on the phone. And I would recommend they can take some pictures and bring the pictures with them down there to the DRC and explain the situation. If they are a family that does not have a lot of funds or resources, then they might want to bring some information about that.
Proof of income?
Yeah, proof of income. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Are there any more questions?
No more requests?
And we thank you for your time.
Yes, and please give me a call if anything comes up. Thank you very much.
And just for your information, the disaster assistance number for FEMA is 1-800-621-FEMA. That's 1-800-621-FEMA, just 3362. 1-800-621-3362. And they will be at the Putnam County Fairgrounds for anyone who needs any assistance.
Is that on our website? It's on the website.
You can also go to if you're at the city's website, the information is also there. I know just as you guys are getting a little antsy, we're gonna take privilege and move up one more speaker just before we do Student of the Month. We're gonna move agenda item number 4 up. That's Northeast Florida Regional Council. That's immediate past Mayor Vernon Myers and President Bryant of the Northeast Florida Regional Council, and also Brian Teeple, who's the Executive Director. They're gonna come up and give us an update. Can you please give them a round of applause? They come forward.
Brian.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor. It's my pleasure to be back before you after an absence. I want to thank you for the opportunity to have served on the Northeast Florida Regional Council. And for the past 12 months, I've been honored to represent Putnam County and the city of Palatka as the city of Palatka's designee, and I served as president of the Northeast Florida Regional Council for the past year. I presently serve as past president, and I want to thank the mayor and the commissioners for this privilege to serve you and the opportunity to update you on what the Northeast Florida Regional Council is doing for our citizens. The Northeast Florida Regional Council was formed by the 7 counties in Northeast Florida, including Putnam, in 1977. And the counties are Nassau, Duval, Baker, Clay, Putnam, St. Johns, and Flagler. And we will soon celebrate our 40th anniversary. And because the Northeast Florida Regional Council was formed by an interlocal agreement between the counties, we are a unit of local government. And we're governed by a 35-member board of directors consisting of 2/3 local government elected officials or appointees and 1/3 gubernatorial appointees, and an additional 4 ex officio non-voting members representing the Department of Transportation, the Department of Environmental Protection, the Department of Economic Opportunity, and the St. Johns River Water Management District. Now, representing Putnam County are County Commissioner Walton Pellissier, representing the Board of County Commissioners, Mr. Kenny Eubanks, representing the Board of County Commissioners, County Commissioner Larry Harvey, representing the Governor, and myself, representing Putnam's municipalities. Now, I would like to add that Vice Mayor Mary Lawson Brown was a long-term member of the Northeast Regional Council. And my wife, Linda Myers, is a former president of the Northeast Florida Regional Council many years ago. We are a small agency, but I think you will be impressed by the activities we conduct. It's my pleasure to introduce Brian Teeple, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Northeast Florida Regional Council. He has served in this position for 30 years, and during his tenure, he has ably served the citizens not only of Northeast Florida, but also of our community. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Teeple.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, good evening. I've got a lot of slides. I'm going to talk about one bullet on each one and move on. You have all the information before you. Our mission statement, it's there for your reading pleasure. It's long. Mr. Myers talked about the creation of the council, so I won't dwell on that. Talked about the governance of our board. Spend a second talking about some of the subsidiary organizations that we serve. You can see that not only do I respond and report to my board of directors, that I'm also responsible for a number of affiliated boards and commissions. We generally do our programs into 4 piles. First one is planning and technical assistance, the second one is policy, the third being economic development, and the fourth being emergency preparedness. Now, I'd like to talk about planning and technical assistance to begin with. Every time a local government has a comprehensive plan amendment, it is sent to us and we review it and make recommendations to the local government and then ultimately to the state to determine whether it's consistent with our plan, our strategic regional policy plan. In addition to those kinds of activities, we provide a lot of general local government technical assistance in the area of comprehensive planning, zoning and regulatory planning, mapping and comprehensive planning, annexations, goal setting and strategic planning, and board and staff training. For example, right now we're finishing up with the City of Crescent City, doing a strategic plan for them and setting the goals for their city commission for the upcoming 5 years. In addition to those sorts of things, we do a lot of what I call facilitation, mediation, dispute resolution, and initiative support. Some of you may remember that we just wrapped up last year the Putnam County Solid Waste Advisory Board. We facilitated and staffed that effort as the county struggled to decide what they wanted to do with their solid waste system. We work in communities, assisting them in their community revitalization areas, or CRAs. And we do a lot of training of our local governments in the areas of sunshine, ethics, and Robert's Rules of Order. Another area that we provide technical assistance in is affordable housing. We staff the affordable housing programs in not only Putnam County, but Baker County as well. And I'm happy to report, or sad to report, that as a result of Hurricane Matthew, we were able to request additional emergency SHIP funds, or the State Affordable Housing Program funds, from the state, and are waiting to hear about that, whether it would be awarded those monies or not. We also play a role in your paratransit system in Ride Solutions. We staff 6 coordinating boards that oversee and run those programs in 6 of our 7 counties, including Ride Solutions. And I will tell you that your Ride Solutions folks do a really good job for the citizens of Putnam County and the city of Palatka. Talk about policy next. Each and every year, we run the Northeast Florida Regional Leadership Academy, and we've run about over 200 people through that academy, and I do recommend it to any of the commissioners who want to learn more about the surrounding communities. But truly one of the highlights to me is that every year we come to the city of Palatka. And Mr. Mayor, I think you might have been with us. I was not there that day, was able to welcome the class to the city. And I will tell you, it's really good. It's good public relations for not only the city of Palatka, but for Putnam County, because folks from other part of the region, even though they're not far away, many of them have never been here before, and they walk away with a very positive attitude and understanding of what's going on in your community. We also formed a 501c3 not-for-profit a number of years ago, which we use as our policy think tank. A couple of things that they've done, I think, that are important and more recent. We've got a regional action plan for thriving small business, and are currently developing a marketing plan for small towns and rural areas, including Palatka and Putnam County. And then the most recent one is the Department of Transportation is looking at a new corridor, or new corridors between Tampa and Jacksonville. So we jumped out ahead of the Department of Transportation and began that work. We looked at areas in which we could enhance corridors, and you'll see some of them run through your community as a possibility. We also recognize, before you get excited, that you'll see that the enhanced corridor that might cross the river here, we recognize if that were to happen, it would not be in this particular location. It would probably be someplace else up or down the river where you would not run it through the middle of your community. And we also looked at new corridors. Where could one put a new multi-purpose, high-capacity corridor between Jacksonville and Tampa? And you'll also see that the southern one of those, as a very wide kind of study corridor, does in fact touch upon Putnam County. I think this is apropos. We do a lot of work in what we call resiliency, and I think Hurricane Matthew may have taught us a few lessons. One of the things that we took a look at was, should our region be hit by a Category 5 storm surge, private investment in real estate would be at about $25.8 billion that would be destroyed. That's none of your public infrastructure. That's simply the buildings that are privately held that would be undertaken by that amount. Each and every year, we develop a set of legislative priorities, but we do it a little bit differently. We go out to each of our 7 counties and 27 municipalities and ask them for their priorities. And we memorialize those in our priorities, and we take those which are common and raise to the top. And we go advocate on behalf of our local governments each year in the legislature for your priorities and the collective priorities of the region. In the area of economic development, we are a certified economic development district by the U.S. Department of U.S. Economic Development Administration. Sorry about that. And that allows businesses and local governments, frankly, within our region to access capital that would not otherwise be available to you. EDA is a small organization, but they can provide some key funding. We recently completed a what we call Innovate Northeast Florida, which is really the blueprint for economic development for all of Northeast Florida. We've been following that for 4 years. We're starting our 5th year now. We've been working with local farmers here in Putnam County, as well as in St. John's and Flagler, through First Coast Fresh and other opportunities to try to increase agricultural production in that Tri-County agriculture area. And then finally, we also provide grant writing and administration services to our local government. We do a lot of economic analysis and forecasting. We have a number of very powerful econometric models that we utilize at the council. One of the ones we recently did that you may have heard of, although it's in Jacksonville, was the new Amazon Fulfillment Center, the 2.8 million square foot fulfillment center up there. We did the analysis on that, which helped bring it to Northeast Florida. And then finally, in the area of emergency preparedness, we do a lot of training and exercise. A number of exercises we do in a variety of areas. We do about 25 of those a year, involving your first responders in areas such as hurricanes, communications, terrorism, and a number of other kinds of exercises, including hazardous materials. We provide a lot of training opportunities for your first responders. We train several thousand of Northeast Florida's first responders each year in a variety of subject areas, including interoperable communications, hazardous materials, and a variety of other activities. We also undertake a lot of hazards planning. We assist our local governments with their comprehensive emergency management plans. For example, your county has one, we actually wrote it for you a number of years ago. That was really the plan that was put into place when Hurricane Matthew threatened our region. We've also developed most of our local government's post-disaster redevelopment plans, which talk about what you're going to do after the storm. So we talk about it before the storm, we talk about it after the storm. And then finally, we have been responsible throughout the state for the last 10 years or so in developing the statewide regional evacuation study program. We do all of the science that is related to the information that your emergency managers then need to use in determining when to call for an evacuation, what areas to call for an evacuation, and we know how many people are going to evacuate and those sorts of things. We also provide to our local governments surge staffing to your EOCs. When you all had the 2004, 2005 storms, I had 5 staff in your EOC here in Putnam County assisting your citizens. As a matter of fact, we got the last, where's the FEMA guy? I don't want to hear this. We got the last 2 loads of ice out of Jacksonville and brought them to Putnam County before they shut down that center in front of an approaching other storm. We won't go into detail. And then we also, one of the other things that we do, and each time a storm threatens, we serve as the regional evacuation coordinator. We're in constant contact with 13 emergency management directors, even outside our region, to talk about coordination of when evacuations are going to be called, and more importantly, or as importantly, is when folks are going to be let back in. Because the reentry program is something that is quite touchy for people who want to go back and see their properties. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. I didn't want to take a lot of your time and give you a broad level overview. You all have my business cards if you have any additional questions for me. Don't hesitate to call. I have my, I'll give you my cell phone number. It's 904-424-2327. Mr. Suggs has it. And I carry that with me 24/7, much to my wife's chagrin. Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have this evening.
You need to tell them you did our comprehensive plan for us.
We did your comprehensive plan. We did your last year. We've done a lot of work here in the city. And many of you know my wife, Laura Dietrich, who's come before you a number of times. She has a fond affinity for this community, as do I. I love coming to Palatka. It's truly a great place. Enjoy it here. Thank you.
Any questions?
He just needs to help send some more business over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Point some this way, please.
Mr. Tebow, we want to thank you and also Mayor Myers for coming back and giving us an update as to what's going on. We definitely appreciate the efforts that you guys put forth, and we thank you for your representation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And now for the moment that you've all been waiting for so patiently. I wanted to make sure that we put those 2 things up. Things that are going with regional council truly affect us. And I think it's important that our citizens be aware of what efforts are being made. I don't think you realize just how major it is to have immediate past Mayor Vernon Myers as a president of Northeast Florida Regional Council, nor the representation that we've had today and in the past. Those things are major as it relates to opportunities for Putnam County to attract businesses, to attract jobs, and we have to consciously be aware of what the trends are throughout our region. The other part is, as it relates to FEMA, we want to make sure we continually get information out to you as it relates to recovery from the storm, and also any other future needs that you may have as well. It's our job to truly make sure that our citizens are informed, protected, and also assist in the recovery process as well. And so those are the things that we want to bring forward. I won't belabor the point. Student of the Month is one of our favorite portions of what we do. We thank you for sitting here very patiently. At this time, I would like for all parents, family members, neighbors, friends to please stand if you're here accompanying a young person today. And we want to give you guys a round of applause. It truly takes a village to raise a child, and we thank each and every one of you for the role that you play in these young people's lives, because if it wasn't for you, they would not be here today. And again, we thank you, and we thank you for that continued support for them. As we begin our presentations, the lucky commissioner this month is Vice Mayor Brown. She's going to assist me as we present our certificates to our students, and certificates read as follow. Presented by the City of Palatka Commission. This is to certify that the student is awarded the Certificate of Academic Excellence, Leadership, Citizenship, and Attendance at their respective school, given this 27th day of October, 2016. So as we call the student's name, we're asked that a representative from the school accompany them. We will line up across the front. We will squeeze in as much as we can. Once we've called all the students' name, we will then take a brief recess. We'll have the students come up and take a picture. We'll ask the representatives at that time to step back, so we'll take a picture of the students. We'll have single file lines, and we'll make a single file line, and any family members that want to come up and take pictures with the kids, you can do so, and I'll be up as well as some of the other commissioners to take pictures as well at that time. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I recognize two special people in the audience today. Former City Commissioner Ted McGibbon. And also our tax collectors here, Ms. Myers. So without further ado, first up is Molly Albritton, Browning Pierce Elementary School. Our Pledge of Allegiance guy, Malachi Dixon. Yeah. From Children's Reading Center Charter School, Gianna Bohannon. From E.H. Miller School, Cameron Davis. Let's give Cameron another round of applause. From James A. Long Elementary, Caitlin Arthur. Congratulations. From Jenkins Middle School, Randall Kearse. From Kelly Smith Elementary, Braden Myers. From Mellon Elementary, Pedro Manuel Estrada Rosado. Did I get it right?
Did he say your name right?
Yes.
See, I'm getting better. From Mosley, Alyssa Ford.
Congratulations.
From Palaca High School, Izell Hendrick. From Pinal Baptist Academy, Annabelle Suggs. From Putnam Academy of Arts and Sciences, Isaac Harper. And last but not least, from Putnam Edge, Sarah Keith. Any relation to Brian Keith?
Mr. McGibbon.
Hey, Mr. McGibbon, you're loaded with tobacco. And so to our young people, again, we want to thank you for being great representatives of the city of Palaca and of Putnam County. I leave you with something that I learned back in 3rd grade at Mosley Elementary School. We would say it every day, and it simply says that I am somebody. If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, I know I can achieve it because I am somebody. Every one of you standing up here today, you're somebody. You're destined for greatness, and greatness is upon you, and all you have to do is continue to believe and continue to achieve. And again, we just want to thank you and praise you for all that you've been doing. Keep up the good work. We're now calling this meeting back to order. After an extended break, we will now move into item 2 of the agenda, which is our public comment section. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No action will be taken on topics of discussion. We have one speaker for public comment, Mr. Askew Vickers. Would you please come forward to this time?
I hope it's fried chicken.
No.
I hope you're bringing us a good present.
It's Halloween time.
Trick or treat.
It's a little treat, little treat. Good evening to all of you.
Good evening, sir.
Askew Vickers, 207 North 18th Street. And I have a gift for all of you. And the first thing is I understand that this is the filter for my water ice machine that I have to pay dearly for and cannot use because the water won't come through here. And the guy who owns these things, machines, he doesn't own mine, but he owns several, and he said that some places he can only get 30, 50 days of, out of his filter that costs $100 a piece. I don't think it's fair for us to have to pay that kind of money for water that is not fit for human consumption. This is my first trip here for this. This is more than one time I've been here, but most of you all weren't here, but some of you were here. And I think this problem should have been addressed long before now, as it should have been, because the taxpayers who are paying the water should be receiving better quality product than what we are receiving for the money we pay for. And I don't know if you all agree with that or disagree, but it doesn't make a difference because we are not getting what we pay for. Because this is, the pudding is in, right here. Would you drink the water came through this one?
I would probably change my filter.
I did, because it wouldn't work. But I'm talking about the water is still the same. If it's checking all this, it's catching it at all times with a clean filter or dirty filter, it's still the same dirty water.
And Mr. Vickers, we are fully aware of the problem. One of our main priorities is dealing with the infrastructure. We have $28 million. We got 65 miles of water lines that
At
have
$1
to be
million a
replaced.
mile.
Excuse
At
me?
$1 million a mile.
No, not a million.
That's for roads.
Okay.
So we're about, the last estimate was around 28 million. What we are doing is diligently trying to find alternatives.
Okay.
That problem has been here since 1887.
I wasn't here then.
Me either.
I hope you weren't. Anyway, I pay my water bill. I've been paying for in the same building for 40 years, and I cannot even get my garbage container empty. It's been going on for years. When Ed Chandler was there, I would frequent with them. Sometimes once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks they would empty. It would be so full I couldn't even put my own trash in it. Still the same problem. They say about dumping about once a week, every other week. I've gotten tired of running out and complaining about the same issue. So I don't know what to do about that. But so moving on to the next issue.
You got,
Issue that has gone down to 1 day per week as of now.
For commercial,
For everybody.
It's
So
one-
that it's picked up.
no. If you, Mr. Vickers, if you can get with, Mr. Griffith, who's in the back of the room, he's got his hand up, he's our new Public Works Director, we'll make sure that that issue is addressed. Your time is up.
I got one of the things that I like to
We'll give you 10 seconds.
But you know what, I was talking to a young lady, and she was saying that she was talking about the problem in the north side of the district. And she said that she could actually end up in the ditch and hurt herself because the ditches have been addressed. And you replied to her, drive slow.
No.
You didn't tell her that.
No.
Well, she came to me, they told me about
What
that.
young lady was this?
I can't tell you that. There's nothing you can't tell me. You didn't.
Can y'all talk after the meeting? Can you talk after the meeting, cause we're past 3.5. Sir?
Can I get another card?
You can, bring it back in 2 weeks.
Sorry, put out the meeting.
But seriously, Mr. Vickers, if you can get with Mr. Griffith, we want to make sure that we address your concerns and we have that stuff taken care of. We got a new work order system and we can make sure that we've got all your concerns addressed.
But I didn't get half of what I wanted.
You never do. But again, thank you. And we laugh, but Mr. Vickers is a mainstay in this community. He's one of the few citizens who consistently comes forward with issues, and we ask that all our other citizens would also come in so that we can hear whatever issues that you have in place. And so, Mr. Vickers, again, we thank you for coming forward. We understand that there are many, many issues. There was a main water line that was replaced right by your business during the storm, in the middle of the storm.
I was told that, being a rewrite my water.
Yes, sir. Is there anyone else here for public comment? Seeing no one who's here for public comment, we will close public comment. Now moving on to the consent agenda. Item A in the consent agenda is to adopt resolution number 2016-12-83, authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute and attest supplemental joint participation agreement number 2 with FDOT, increasing the amount of FDOT funding to $375,620 and total project amount to $754,117 for obstruction, tree removal, and mitigation at the Palatka Municipal Airport, 50% DOT, 49% FAA, and 1% City of Palatka funded. B, adopt resolution number 2016-12-84, adopting a policy protecting the rights of individuals engaged in nonviolent civil rights demonstration and barring the restrictions of access to locations or facilities which are subject of such demonstrations. C, adopt resolution number 2016-12-85, awarding airport turf mowing bid to Frank Crabtree in the amount of $54,000 per year, per results of ITB number 2016-10. D, approve requested items for special events permit number 16-48 Palatka Pride Fall Festival to be held on 10/29/16 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Palatka Pride. PPD Captain Toby Williams applicant. Number 1 is to grant permission to exceed allowable noise levels throughout the duration of the event. 2, allow closure of South 14th Street from Krill Avenue to Diana Drive and a portion of Diana Drive west on South 14th Street for the event. Are there any items on the consent agenda that you wish to have removed?
Item B.
Item B. Are there any other items? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion.
There's a motion to approve the consent agenda except for item B. There's a second by Commissioner Campbell. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item B, adopt resolution number 2016-12. Adopting a policy protecting the rights of individuals engaged in nonviolent civil rights demonstrations and barring the restrictions of access to locations or facilities which are subject of such demonstrations. And I think these are housekeeping items, but Commissioner Norwood, you have a question?
Yeah, my question is, I guess with the language, law enforcement agencies, because I know we don't have one agency that's law enforcement, that's like a police department. I guess it's this language will actually require, in fact, I also would like to have the city attorney to kind of weigh in on this as well, because I just, for some reason or another, I think that we can't set policies for other agencies other than the city of Clackamas.
It is required language based upon the information that I've been given, and it's a suggested language that was used so that we would be in compliance.
And I don't know, I had queried the city manager about that today, and it's my understanding that he inquired and was advised that this was a formatted ordinance suggested to us or provided to us by our city's grants administrator. Is that right, Mr. Suggs?
That is correct, and we're trying to get verification if that's the language that came down from the state offices.
And that was our question, was whether or not this exact language was the language that was provided. It's confusing and/or perhaps at least curious that we would be asked to pass an ordinance that basically says we're going to apply state law, which we're already obligated to apply. But nonetheless, I will note for you something the city manager and I were discussing, Commissioner Norwood, that at the bottom of paragraph 1, it says, to the extent and limits of the city's power and authority to do so, which is a modifier to the statement that says that law enforcement agencies, quote, are prohibited from using excessive force. So it basically says that if we have power to keep law enforcement agencies from using excessive force, then we will. If it's form language and a form ordinance that's been given to us to pass as a condition of us receiving USDA grants, I guess it is what it is.
So that's the reason for us having it come.
Right. It's here specifically for grant purposes to make sure that we're in compliance for applications.
I just want to make sure that,
That we didn't extend our powers beyond what they are.
Our police department don't do excessive force, no, it don't.
Well, that was our conversation with Commissioner Norwood, was we shouldn't use excessive force in any scenario. It shouldn't be limited to this scenario.
Looks like Chief is cheerfully agreeing in the back. So, is there any further discussion on this matter?
so I guess, city manager, do we need further clarification as the ordinance? I think the ordinance as it's written takes care of the housekeeping issue that we're trying to take care of.
I would agree with that it does, it takes care of the issue that they were asking us to take care of, but you're absolutely correct for questioning it. I'm glad it does have a little bit of a modifier there, as the city attorney has pointed out, that, we can only enforce the laws that, fall within our municipal bounds, in our jurisdiction. And, but, it is a housekeeping tool, and that is one of the things that they've asked us to do.
Well, let me ask you a question. We got interlocal agreements when stuff happens sometimes for fire and police across county lines and stuff. So if we have somebody comes into our county from another police department, do they have to abide by?
It's a resolution.
Yeah, it's-
So if you violate a resolution, what happens? It's
No,
not
thanks.
like it's a law that you be punished
Good
for.
point.
We're passing a resolution saying you don't use excessive force, okay. As I said, we shouldn't be doing it anyway, but if it's the highway patrol that does it, or the sheriff's office, or the game and
We have
fish
no
commission,
control.
well, what are we gonna do to them?
Don't pay them when they
I don't think we pay them.
Okay, so to answer your question, it's a mere housekeeping tool.
All right.
All right. So we approve.
Chief, you got something you want to say?
I'm sorry, I was willing to answer questions if you have.
This is a happy meeting. So, with that being said, is there a motion? You made a motion?
Second, I'll-
I lost it in the laughing. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving the agenda to item 5. Request to appeal planning board case number 16-38, denial of conditional use, Michael Byers and Kim Burnett, applicants for conditional use permit to allow for an internet cafe and a storefront unit located at 2000 Reed Street.
Mr. Chairman, could Mr. Crowe, Mr. Mayor, could Mr. Crowe perhaps lay the foundation for this? And then if I could just remind the city that this is an appeal, meaning that you're not supposed to consider new evidence, but instead base your decision on a review of what's already occurred at the hearing below.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Yes, sir. This item went before your planning board in August, at their August meeting. The planning board spent some time on this, took testimony. Took testimony and considered in a deliberative manner this issue. I think their primary concerns boil down to what they refer to as an undue concentration of these uses in the Reed Street corridor, essentially, between the downtown area and going out toward Pine Street. There are approximately around 5 of these and more if you count the county facilities. The city has become sort of a magnet, I think, for out-of-town interests who are coming in and opening up internet cafes in this area. They did consider the matter, and I think in the end, their determination was because of the undue concentration, because of the uncertainty of whether these places were following state laws, and there have been across the state a lot of problems pertaining to regulating these facilities and being shut down in various jurisdictions and various raids and busts and open 24 hours as potential magnets for crime. So in the end, the planning board did recommend denial, a 6-1 vote based on the undue concentration and the general finding that the use was not in keeping with the public safety, health, welfare, and morals of the city. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Crowe. Michael Byers and Kim Burnett. Would you like to come forward? Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Kim Burnett, 141 Pine Brook Drive, Moore, South Carolina. And we did come before the board the 1st of August, and they did deny us, just like Mr. Crowe said, on undue concentration. However, at the time, there were 6 of us operating during the time of our hearing, and today there are only 4 operating. So I think that the undue concentration part has gone away. We also agreed that it came up for consideration some things that needed to be done within the parking lot, some improvements to the parking lot, and, you know, a trash rack on top of the dumpster and several things. We agreed to do all these things. We also had our neighboring tenant, the pastor, come and speak in our behalf about, even though we were open 24 hours, we didn't have any trouble there, and we have yet to call the police out for any disturbance whatsoever. And I think that if the population supports these uses being open and frequent these uses without causing any trouble, I think it's very unfair to say that there is an undue concentration. And we did pay our fees, and also it came up that there would be certain rules put in place for everybody to abide by, and we agreed to abide by all of those as well. So I'd like you to reconsider. You also have an application in process for another one of these facilities at 200 North 19th Street. So I'd ask you to consider giving us our license and giving her one as well. Thank you.
Any questions from the commission? Mr. Holmes, do you have anything?
No, sir, let me look at the packet. And does the packet contain the minutes from the planning commission meeting? It
Yes, it
does. As I indicated, under your ordinances, an appeal of a denial of a conditional use, it comes to you as an appeal, truly as an appeal, not as a recommendation. And the distinction is that on an appeal, you're supposed to limit your consideration to the record below the minutes that you see, and you're supposed to determine whether you believe that the information that was provided to the planning board couldn't support the decision that they made, or you can determine that there was the wrong law or ordinance applied, or some other defect in the proceedings. But if you don't find that any of those factors were present, then the appellant's burden hasn't been met. It isn't a situation where you take a lot of new evidence, and they did attempt to present a lot of new evidence, so that may not even be, I can probably just save my time in saying all of that. But that's, you are sitting in an appellate capacity to determine whether or not you believe that the planning commission basically varied from its job when it denied the conditional use permit below.
Any questions from the commission?
I have none.
And Captain, I just wanted to know if all of these ones that we have coming to town are people who live in town businesses or something like that, but we can't ask that.
No, ma'am, not right now. Just,
I'd like for the motion on the floor.
Yes, sir.
The motion would be to uphold the planning board's decision based on undue concentration, based on the information they had at the time.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to affirm the planning board's decision. Is there any further discussion on the matter?
Question?
Questions called? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borum?
This is to deny that,
To go
yes,
to
it
the
is
plan.
not, yes.
This is to uphold the planning
Uphold.
board's
Yes,
denial.
yes.
Vice Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
No.
Commissioner Norwood?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
No. Motion carries by a vote of 3-2. Planning board's decision is sustained. Moving on to item 6 of the agenda, an ordinance rezoning 623 and 625 Laurel Street. Planning board recommendation to amend the future land use map to commercial and assign planning unit development zoning to the properties from R1 residential single family. First reading, Charles and Tina Duck owners and applicants. Item A, ordinance amending the future land use map.
An ordinance of the City of Palaca, Florida, providing that the future land use map of the adopted comprehensive plan be amended with respect to the following parcel of land less than 10 acres in size from RH residential high density to COM commercial for 623 and 625 Laurel Street, property located in section 42, township 10 south, range 27 east, providing for severability and providing an effective date, and this is for adoption.
This is a second reading.
Well, this one is a single reading for adoption, and the next one is second reading, and it's noted that it's second reading, so
Okay.
that's a typo.
So moved.
Motion on the floor in a second. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, public hearing is closed. Any further discussion?
Question?
Questions called, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item B, ordinance to rezone, second reading.
An ordinance of the City of Palaca, Florida, providing that the official zoning map of the City of Palaca, Florida be amended as to that certain property located in section 42, township 10 south, range 27 east, including 623 and 625 Laurel Street, to be rezoned from R1 residential single family to PUD/C1A planned unit development, commercial neighborhood, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor in a second. We're now open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing. Any further discussion? Questions called, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 7 of the agenda, amending zoning code section 62-1 definitions and 62-17, changing sign standards, second reading.
An ordinance of the City of Palatka, Florida, amending the sign code, chapter 62 of the municipal code, revising definition and standards pertaining to changing signs, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. We'll now open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing. Any further discussion?
Question.
Questions called, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 8 of the agenda, ordinance amending section 86-62 of the Code of Ordinance to provide options regarding calculations for separate water services required for each business unit, second reading. Adopt.
Mr. Mayor, can I just interrupt for 1 second and ask you, go back for a second? I didn't remember that we limited scoreboards to 100 square feet in size. That was our, only 100 square feet?
I thought we
No,
said
I thought we
200,
said
200 feet.
200.
It was supposed to be 200 square feet.
Right now, the ordinance that I've got in front of me in your packet, unless I'm misreading it, it says except that scoreboards may up to 100 square feet in size and 200 square feet for scoreboards. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, you could, it would make sense if you said, except that scoreboards may be up to 200 square feet in size with a period, and you struck that
Yeah,
next,
second one.
next phrase. That would make more sense. Yeah, I believe that was the intent of the motion, except that, Mary, you may remember that you said that you weren't sure that the Palatka football stadium scoreboard would fit 10 by 10.
It wouldn't.
So
It may not fit 20 by 10.
my recollection was that you guys said that, I think you had a provision there that said that it wouldn't exceed 200 square feet, except that, it could be greater with, specific
approval.
requests.
Yeah.
That was my recollection. I don't
Yeah.
have a minutes in front of me, but I specifically remember the issue of the scoreboard at Palatka
Yep.
High School coming up, and
Yep.
you saying that 100 square feet wouldn't handle it. So I believe you did something, maybe you said 200 square feet, and then you said that a greater scoreboard could be approved, or a scoreboard of a greater size could be approved on special request.
Yes.
Would you like me to read the minutes?
Yeah, can you read the minutes back?
Mayor Hill said they have a limitation of 36 square feet for existing changing signs. Mr. Crowe said when they did the electronic sign ordinance, they surveyed every changing sign in the city, and they were all below that size. Mayor Hill asked why it was even necessary to cite foot candles due to a scoreboard's limited use. He questioned why the scoreboard height is limited to 15 feet above grade. Mr. Crowe said this is so they won't tower over the roads or neighborhoods. Dropping down, following discussion, Commissioner Brown moved to amend subparagraph A to make an exception that scoreboards may be up to 200 square feet in size, and anything greater than 200 square feet must receive prior approval from the planning board or city commission.
There you go.
To amend
There you
that,
go.
subsection C shall not apply to scoreboards, and to strike subsections F through I.
So the wording of what's here
Comply with
isn't
it.
consistent with what the minutes say. So I believe that what you could do is, with the written document that's in front of you, you could just substitute the word or the figure 200 for 100 in the third line of subparagraph A. I'm sorry, the second line of subparagraph A. Strike, put a period after the word size, and strike the rest of what's in your writing, and then you could add language that states proposed scoreboards of a size greater than 200 square feet must receive approval prior to installation. But my question then is, on what standard? I mean, if you understand, there's not really a,
Right.
who's gonna decide whether it's to be approved and on what standard? It would be considered like a conditional use, I mean, so, maybe for right now, you just leave it at 200 square feet Will that cover the Palaca High School Board?
It won't, but it'll be grandfathered in.
Well,
And this-
either grandfather, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
It won't.
I think Mr. Holmes is correct. Can we not just limit it to the 200 square feet period, and then any time a subsequent request comes in, or take our time after that, Mr. City Attorney, to draft the appropriate language of who would?
Sure, we could do that. I could add some qualifying language.
Or as a dimensional requirement, it's eligible for variance. So essentially, people could ask for a variance from that standard.
Okay, then I have no problem with adding to that a sentence that would read, school boards in excess of 200 square feet may be approved by grant of variance.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. Can I have since we've already passed this, I will entertain an amendment to the motion, or a new motion to include the new language in, and I'll open it back up for
A
read.
motion to include the new, wordage
In paragraph A.
in paragraph A.
Okay. There's a second on that. Got a motion and a second. We'll reopen the floor for public hearing as it relates to this item. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing. Is there any further discussion? Questions called, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Moving the agenda to item number 8, ordinance amending section 86-62 of the Code of Ordinance to provide options regarding calculations of separate water services required for each business unit, second reading.
An ordinance of the City of Palaca, Florida, amending section 86-62 of the municipal code of the City of Palaca as it pertains to separate services required for each business unit, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. We'll now open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing. Is there any further discussion? Questions called, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 9, ordinance amending Palaca Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Administration, to add an accounts receivable policy, second reading.
An ordinance of the City of Palaca, Florida, revising the Code of Ordinances of the City of Palaca, Florida by amending Chapter 2, Administration, to add an accounts receivable policy, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, we will close public hearing. Any discussion?
Question.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 10. Amending Palaca Municipal Code, Section 10-4. Hours when alcohol sales prohibited, half-hour closing period, first reading.
An ordinance of the City of Palaca, Florida, amending the Alcoholic Beverages Code, Chapter 10 of the Municipal Code, revising hours of operations restrictions, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Just so that we know, as we go into this particular ordinance, after having several workshops, limited attendance, but very good dialogue as it related to those, I tasked Mr. Crowe at the discussion with drafting an ordinance which kind of outlined what the spirit would be that came from those meetings. And in the spirit of what we gathered from the meetings was, there wasn't much by way of dissent as to having businesses that engaged, that where their primary focus was something other than alcohol sales, to be allowed to actually to serve and have individuals consume on Sunday in hours prior to what our existing code was, which was 1 p.m. So when you look at what's been presented to us today, there are a couple different things that I want to make sure that we're clear on. One of the things is that it shall be unlawful. The language says it shall be unlawful to sell, consume, or serve, to permit or serve or be consumed any alcohol beverages except as otherwise listed herein at any licensed premises except between the hours during the following. One of the things that we at law enforcement talk about was the fact that it will be easier for them to deal with uniformity as related to what the county's ordinance was. The spirit of this ordinance, in essence, does that. One of our exceptions, and that really takes us back to what we had previously, and that's in Part B. The times go in Part A from Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. until 2 a.m., which is a continuation of what we've already had. Sunday, we go from noon until 12 p.m. midnight, and from 7 a.m. until 12 p.m. midnight. For bona fide restaurants licensed by the state of Florida Division of Hotels and Restaurants, whose primary business is the service of full course meals, and only if such restaurants continue to serve meals during this time period. I don't know if we're going to define full course meals. I would say that their primary business is the service of meals, full course. I don't think we have many businesses in Palaco that serve full course meals. So I would just ask to strike the full course language out of the ordinance. Everything else seems to be in compliance, and what we're doing is we're actually just allowing restaurants and hotels that serve food to be able to provide alcoholic beverages during the service of those early morning meals, and that's where we are. And so that's kind of a background as to where we are. Commissioner Campbell wanted us to make sure we brought a recommendation forward, which kind of represented the sentiment of what we got from those meetings, and that's what I brought forward along with Mr. Crowe.
Do we have to make a motion in order to discuss?
Yeah.
Is this
So we need a motion.
Well, I'll make a motion.
It's a first reading. There's opportunity for us to modify whatever language is necessary in order to meet the needs of everyone.
You make a motion to approve? If you're not, then you're not making a motion, you're making a motion to deny?
To deny this particular, what's listed, yes.
Okay, it's a motion to deny them.
There's a motion to deny. Is there a second?
Deny what?
What's already written, as written.
Second.
There's a motion to deny as written, and there's a second. We're now open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing. Is there any discussion?
Yes. I am all for moving the time earlier. I don't have a problem. I do have a problem with it being 7 o'clock. I don't care if it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I would like to see it reflect, and I've stated this from the beginning, that it reflects what our county has for purposes, for a variety of things. But I just I don't see myself supporting 7 o'clock.
And you're saying you wanted to support what the county has. The county has 12.
It's 12 o'clock. And I will even take into consideration for those facilities that actually serve serve food, none of them are even open at 7 o'clock in the morning. So why would we want to pass something that is, they're not even open.
The county,
10 or 12, 10 or 11, yes, 7 o'clock, no.
the county's ordinance allows for sale prior to 12 o'clock. It doesn't allow for consumption, based upon my understanding of the ordinance. There's not on-premise consumption prior to 12.
Mr. Mayor, I guess my position is, I too would like to align with the county, just because, two reasons. Police department came and told us they would like to have, uniformity. That way they don't have those issues trying to determine who's in the city, who's not in the city, and also another reason, Jacob Spills came before, Mr. Spills came before this commission and asked that, there be a level playing field. That our disparity puts the city restaurants or city bars and whatnot at a disadvantage. And I want to make sure that we have a level playing field. So I would also support aligning with the county's ordinance as well.
My response is, I don't think we should have a level playing field. If we had a level playing field, then I would think that we should just go ahead and have one form of government throughout the county. The city of Palatka needs to find ways to distinguish itself from the county when it comes to being able to attract businesses, when it comes to being able to get those services, to getting taxes, to getting utilities, to getting all those different things. The city needs to get away from trying to be like everyone else. The city of Palatka is the hub of this community. And until we become of a mindset that we're not the county, it's great to have uniformity as it relates to some things, but we got ordinances right now. Our zoning isn't the same as the county. So every day we do annexation is different from what the county is. There are so many things that separate the city of Palatka from the county, from water and sewer, and so forth. And I just think that having uniformity, it's a competitive market. Every time a business decides to come in to an area that may be contiguous, and we have an opportunity to annex that business, they come into the city of Palatka because we're different than the county. We provide something different. And if we continue with the mindset that we're the same, then there's nothing that separates us. There's nothing that attracts an individual to the city of Palatka from the county. So those instances where we can get $180,000 in impact fees, we no longer get that because we look like the county. We don't offer anything any differently. I just think that the city of Palatka needs to have its own identity separate from the county. When it comes to enforcement in restaurants and those things, I don't see where there's a difference, where there's going to be any problem created by allowing restaurants to serve on their premises at an hour different than what the county does. And so that's my soapbox. Commissioner Borum, I think you're about to say something.
Well, yeah. Again, I was looking at the hours of the operation for the restaurants as well, and I think, again, I didn't see where, I'm in support with aligning everything with the county, but again, with the, I just didn't see a true need in terms of aligning as it relates to full-scale restaurants. I just didn't see it, so, and also the hours of operation.
You said full-scale restaurants, what do you mean?
Well, just restaurants, period, just restaurants.
So are you saying that you don't see the need to have an exception for restaurants?
I don't see a need for us to change it to 7 o'clock in the morning.
So
we can move it back, or we can align with 11 o'clock as it relates to what's align with the county, so we don't have that confusing problem with our law enforcement, how they enforce the laws as on the books with our current issue with.
It's just
Here's what I got, and that's, but that's where I'm at. I'm in alignment with changing it, but only the portion where it's moving it back to 11 o'clock, and the 7 o'clock I'm not in alignment with. So
I understand what you're talking about.
You can't understand it because
we're talking about identity. We all have an identity up here. However, just because we don't, nobody is gonna turn away from us just because we don't have the same vision with it opening at 7 o'clock. And I say that simply because if a company turns around and say that they're not going to come into the Palatka city limits because we're not serving alcohol at 7 o'clock in the morning, first of all, no restaurant is open that time of morning. So why would we want to even put that on the books to say who's going to open at 7 o'clock in the morning and want alcohol? So if they're not going to turn around, if we had Longhorn, if we had any other major chain, they don't even open until 10:30, 11 o'clock. So we're still taking care of what it is that their need would be. They would still be able to go in there, get whatever beverage they want at that time, 7 o'clock. No.
So the problem, so again, my issue is, what is the proposed time you have? Is it 11 o'clock?
I would do 11 o'clock, I would even do 10, but I would not do 7.
Okay, and so what's the relevance of those hours that you suggest opposed to
Because
any
there
other
are
hours?
actually hours that restaurants will operate.
Magnolia Cafe opens at 7, I think.
Magnolia
or 6.
Cafe does not even sell mimosas, nor
No one does at this time.
Exactly.
So what about the other times of the week? There's 6 other days where they're allowed to do just that.
We can change it every day, no matter.
There's 6 other days and there hasn't been a problem. I think when Chief made his comments, and I listened to the commission talk about what law enforcement said, but the hours starting at 7 a.m., and the reason 7 a.m. is there is because the other 6 days of the week, that's what time 7 a.m. is. It's the same time. And during those hours, there's a non-factor as it relates to alcohol and consumption and all those other things. There is no prohibition during those days. The only day that there's a prohibition is on Sunday. And so that's my discussion. The commission can make whatever choices it wants. Again, I brought it forward, and so there's a motion on the floor to deny. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Questions called. Roll call.
I would like to say something. Call question.
Questions called. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borum?
No.
Vice Mayor Brown?
Wait.
No.
So you voted against, the motion is to deny, you voted against the motion to deny?
Oh, yeah, well, yes, yeah. Yes to deny. I was looking at what the ordinance here, I'm just looking at what the ordinance is saying right here, so, yes.
Vice Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
No.
May I say something now since we voted?
Motion denied. Motion is granted. Sure.
I think right now we need to look at compromise. We are looking at becoming a tourist attraction. And people do go places for certain things. And if some of you all have been to your meetings where you with folks from bigger and other cities that do a lot of stuff, and they do it, I think that maybe we should look at doing the time, most of you all say 10 or 11 o'clock, that we might look at having it then. Somebody could have brunch, that's between breakfast and lunch, and they might want a cocktail or something. Let me explain y'all, I don't drink at all. And if it was up to me, the liquor people would be out of business. But this is not about me, it's about what this city needs to survive. And when people sell alcohol, they pay alcohol tax. When they live in hotels, they pay bed tax and other tax. So in looking at it, I would like to have us look at a compromise that we would maybe do either one of what you all guys want, 10 or 11 o'clock, and have it so that somebody could do that. Because if somebody drinks, they're gonna drink anyway. They find it.
Well, I want to make sure that it's perfectly clear, like, none of us are against the moving of the actual time, but however, like you said, coming up to a compromising, I mean, if we start the time at a later time, we still encompass what it is that the businesses that are open, that has what is listed in this ordinance, they'll still be able to do what it is that they have to do.
Well, based on what we just voted on, I don't think anybody else took any initiative to bring anything to the commission. It was voted down, so we're moving the agenda. City managers report and administrative
I thought I
reports.
just made a motion.
You couldn't make a motion. I didn't hear it. That issue's been voted on.
But
So,
the issue has been voted on, however, we're trying to make sure that there's some type of resolution to the issue. Yeah, we voted for the denial of 7 o'clock, but we did not vote against not having to start at a later time. So let's be very much clear at what it is that we voted on, and everything outside of that, we still want to talk about. We voted on no to 7 o'clock.
we voted on no to what was presented.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
well-
therefore, we're still open to discussion that was presented. We didn't say we don't want it not to happen at all.
The motion was to deny what was in place, which was an ordinance.
Okay,
So
right.
once you voted no, then that struck down what was presented.
Okay.
And so if there's something other than that, and that wasn't the spirit of the motion, then somebody say so.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
All right.
I move that we reconsider item 10.
Second.
He was on the winning side.
I'm second.
He was on the winning side, that's fair.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions, call, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, nay.
Okay.
Motion's reconsidered.
I'd like to sit down and talk about a reasonable hour that would not encroach on that super early hour, 7 o'clock. I mean, I'm all for helping, changing. We can be different from the county. But, again, let's look at what the businesses that's open, and let's make a compromise.
Golf courses open early, they lose a whole bunch of money every year, and they said that the sale of alcohol would help them.
Well, they just have to hit around the golf and come back and take a drink after and have brunch.
I guess my question is there another recommended time to serve alcohol on Sunday morning?
I just said that I would like to see us compromise and that maybe it could be done either 10 or 11 o'clock, whichever is the best thing for the most people here sitting here for the city. And I'd like to see that put into place.
Could it be an exception could there be an exception for the golf course?
That's not fair
I don't-
for the businesses.
I'm just asking the question.
I mean, because overall, that's what I'm thinking, that the
I mean, if
main
it's-
issue was the golf course, like,
If it's,
when we think about it.
But there'll probably be some other businesses, we hope there'll be other restaurants and things coming into this town in the next few years. And if we're gonna have tourism, as bad as some of us don't like drink, people do that when they go on vacation.
I won't take a drink at 7 o'clock, but I am conscious of what surrounding communities are doing as far as attracting tourism.
But you just said we want to separate ourselves.
We want to separate ourselves from the county.
Do you all have an idea of what time you think that you would like to have the same criteria, but the time change, and what time change would it be?
Somebody make a proposal.
I made one, mine was struck down. Your turn.
I just don't.
Well, we just open it back up for some positive dialogue, but if that's the position at 7, then I'm not willing to move to 7.
It's fine with me, sir.
I mean, it's not directed at you, it's just, and I think that's the sentiment.
Make a recommendation, please.
All right.
What you've got, okay, what you have now, just, from procedural perspective, what you have is the motion to deny is back on the floor. Okay, so right now, what you have is where you were before you voted. Motion to deny, second. So if someone wants to change the time, the appropriate way to do so would be to move to modify the proposed ordinance by changing the time of 7 o'clock to whatever time it is that you want.
After you withdraw the motion that's on the floor.
Okay, I move to modify, the motion, the time, modify the time that's there to, 10.
Second.
Now, of course, what you're gonna have to do once this is all said and done is, if you agree on the time, you're gonna have to deny this motion, because the motion is to deny.
Exactly.
The
but
motion has
my-
to be withdrawn.
But when I made the motion was initially to have to have conversation.
For simplicity's
So what
sake,
do
why don't we
what
do this?
we
Why
need
don't
to
you
do?
move,
Can we
withdraw the
leave
motion,
I make
mow
a-
the second, somebody move to approve with an amendment of the time from 7 to whatever time you want.
I make a motion to withdraw my motion to deny item number 10.
Okay, he withdrawn his motion. You
I
withdraw the
withdraw my
second?
second.
The
All right, now-
motion and second are withdrawn. Is there a motion on the floor at this time?
Yes, I make the motion that we amend the time that's
Just move to approve
the,
with an amendment that the time be changed from 7 to whatever time you want.
all right, that's what we want to do.
Or what time you
7
want.
to 10, you
I
propose
said
10.
10 or 11 o'clock, 10, whichever is favorable to you all.
So is that a motion to amend with 10 o'clock for restaurant, with the exception for 10 o'clock for restaurant?
Yes.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
So motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
Questions called, all in favor, better yet, roll call.
Commissioner Borum,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Norwood,
No.
Mayor Hill.
No. Motion passes 3-2.
All right, so that was a motion to approve the amendment with the time amended from 7 to 10 for Sunday sales by restaurants, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Chief Shaw.
Just wanted to make a mention that the city or the police department will be going through accreditation next week, it's starting on Tuesday. Our on-site will be on Tuesday, and it will end sometime on Thursday afternoon. They'll be doing our exit interview. The accreditors will be here Tuesday morning, and we'll be welcoming them at the police department first thing Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. It will be something nice to have any commissioners or mayor in attendance, as well as the city manager, so we can show support for the police department in reference to getting reaccredited. I also want to bring up the fact that we will be doing the Fall Festival again Saturday from 10 to 2, and we'll have a cleanup of the park area from 2 to 3. And then on Monday, on Halloween, the Palatka Police Department will be doing trunk or treat at the Palatka Mall. We have local law enforcement and other emergency personnel that will be assisting with that event from 5 to 7. That's all I have.
Chief, could you give us a time for the evaluation that's going to take place? When you want the commissioners to be there for support?
The accreditation, we will be welcoming the assessors there at, I believe it's 8:30 in the morning, sir.
8:30 tomorrow?
On Tuesday.
This
Tuesday, yes, sir.
8:30 Tuesday. You gonna have breakfast?
I'll send out an email. I will send out an email to everyone verifying the time when the accreditors or the assessors come in, and letting you know exactly where we be welcoming them at. They will be transported to the police department, and I'm not sure where they're staying at in town, but they will be staying here in town. Any other questions?
Saturday.
Saturday?
The Fall Festival?
Fall Festival, yes, sir. What about it? I mentioned it already.
So the cleanup is at the park.
That's correct. After the Fall
From 2 to
Festival,
3.
from 2 to 3, we'll be doing the cleanup after we have our event, instead of before.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. Chief Lambert. Mr. Gill. Mr. Griffith.
Just two quick things. Briefly before the meeting, I did have a conversation with the city manager, and I'd like to apologize that Public Works has not been able to get out your project update. We've been kind of preoccupied with storm cleanup, but we'll try to get back to that as soon as possible in the next week or so. Just to reassure you, most of the major projects are moving forward. We do have one out to bid right now, and one is, the bid document is under review by DOT. It's for the water taxi terminal building. Hope to get that advertised with Ms. Trigger's assistance next week. So, but the storm cleanup, this map, I showed it to you last time. Basically, everything in orange has been cleaned up. We do have a handful of sites that we had to fall back to where some trees and fallen debris were put out behind the contractors. We do have some other maps if anybody wants to look at them after the fact. We use this as an opportunity to move our right-of-way cleanup crews behind the storm cleanup crews. So we've done a lot of chemical spraying to knock the weeds back. We're starting some sweeping, and we've done a lot of mowing of right-of-ways over the past 3 weeks.
Tell me where that camera man can see it like that too.
Mr. Griffith, if I may, Mr. Mayor, I understand that it's the hours late, but there is that one particular map that I think it's imperative that they looking at is your right-of-way map, the things that's been touched since the storm by your crews.
Sorry.
Now, that represents what, Mr. Griffith?
That represents at least a 3-man crew going through with weed eaters, mowers, stacking fallen debris, and mowing the right-of-ways and blowing down sidewalks and streets.
There's quite a bit of effort there, and I wanted them to see the work that was coming out of Public Works. I appreciate that.
Well, and thank you guys for postponing residential collection to once a week. I don't think we would have been able to make such progress without that. So, thank you again.
Thank you. Mr. Crowe.
Mr. Mayor, very quickly, I just wanted to let you all know, some of you met her. We have a new employee at Building and Zoning, Karen Gilliard, who's replacing Pam, who left. And I'm very happy to have her on board. If you haven't already seen her, come by and say hello to her. We're very pleased to have her. Mr. Suggs, did you want me to bring anything up about the permitting or?
I have it under my report, but you feel free to go ahead and do so. You've had the contact with Brian Hammonds.
We had a request from several contractors as of late. We have had a number of permits that had to be pulled directly attributable to storm damage. The county, relatively recently, I confirmed this with the county planning director, is waiving permit fees if it can be confirmed that it's storm-related. We're bringing it to your attention in the event that you wanted to bring up, I guess it would have to be some sort of emergency resolution in order to allow us to waive permit fees only for storm-related permits.
Talk about storm-related building permits?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's happened, Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Crowe forwarded me an email that said that the county had decided that for any storm-related damage to private property, people that were coming in applying for permits to restore their property from the storm-related issue, that they were waiving those particular fees related to just that type of repair work. And so we wanted to bring it to the commission tonight, to let you know that that's what the county's doing, and ask if there's anything that the city commission would like to discuss or consider here tonight on behalf of our citizens.
I want to ask a question. If we waive the permits, is there any way that you check to make sure that these people aren't getting shystered?
Just waiving the permit fee, not the permit.
I mean, the fee.
Yeah, so we would have the building official confirm that it was, I mean, the best example is we have some folks who had trees fall on their homes or properties, and they're having to get electrical permits to fix that or whatnot. So the building official would have to confirm before we waived any fees. And there are some that we would like to do retroactively. These are folks that don't have much money and they're really hurting to try to make these repairs.
How long are we waiting for?
I don't have a read from the county. The county did not define a time period, I don't believe, but I think that a month would probably be appropriate. And it can only be storm-related.
You said you need to go retroactive, back to when?
I believe really going back to the week after the storm, to be fair about it.
And you're gonna refund those fees that they've already been paid?
Yes, there's one in particular that was very burdensome for some folks who had to pull a permit for the storm damage.
We have to get time to get some of that stuff out of the house. What do you think this one is about? You want us to make a motion? Can we do that? Since it wasn't on the agenda?
We have an emergency
Have to take it as
item.
an emergency item. So I need a motion to take it up as an emergency item first.
I motion to take it up as an emergency item.
Need a second? Second. Got a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And so now we would need a motion I'll entertain a motion to waive storm-related permit fees for a period of 30 days.
I'll make a motion to waive the permit fees for a period of 30 days.
I second it.
Would that be retroactive to the week after?
Retroactive
To the storm.
to the
day of
storm.
storm.
To the day of the storm.
Well,
So let's say October 15th.
yeah, but and the reason I guess the reason I took in discussion, they didn't probably discover all the damage and actually go out and get contractors to come in within those 30 days. And the contractors are busy as well, but they're helping other individuals, so.
I believe we can.
But do we need to add that to the motion so that,
Just amend the motion.
go ahead and amend the motion, I think.
But I'm gonna amend the motion to 60 days.
60 days.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Crowe. Mr. Reynolds.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Triggers.
We hope to see all of you at the safety luncheon / employee appreciation luncheon tomorrow. We have department head training that starts at 10:15. It's for department head supervisors and foremen. And then we expect employees to start rolling in around maybe 11:15, 11:30. We will start serving at 11:45, and all the speeches and door prizes will start around 12. So we hope to see you all there. Well, not my speeches, their speeches.
Yes. We have to move it.
Speech. Mr. Holmes.
Nothing.
Mr. Suggs.
Nothing.
Commissioner Norwood. Commissioner Boer.
Nothing.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, he got you.
Commissioner Campbell.